Good day. Thank you for joining us again for another interesting and contemporary discussion. In this video, we examine the situation around kidnappings in South Africa. Bringing to the fore this subject, we do not imply that this is only a problem in South Africa. That is not the case at all. However, there can be no denying that South Africa is experiencing and have been experiencing a significant increase in kidnappings in the past 10 to 15 years. Why do kidnapping matters, and what does it really mean? When the word kidnapping is mentioned in South Africa, it immediately triggers fear, especially fears around children, trafficking, and organized syndicates. But fear is often shaped by headlines, not by facts. In this video, we take a clear, data-driven look at kidnapping in South Africa, what it legally means, how it is recorded in official crime statistics, and why public perception often differs from reality. Under South African common law, kidnapping is defined very broadly. It refers to the unlawful and intentional deprivation of a person's freedom of movement or unlawful control over a person, with or without ransom and with or without prolonged detention. This means that a child taken without parental consent, a business person held for ransom, a victim forced into a vehicle for robbery, or a person detained to force payment or compliance all fall under kidnapping, even if the incident lasts minutes rather than days. This broad legal definition is one of the main reasons kidnapping statistics are often misunderstood. Kidnapping has become increasingly attractive to criminals. It is high reward, lower risk than murder, and allows for negotiation and coercion. Most importantly, kidnapping can be combined with other crimes, such as robbery, extortion, hijacking, or ATM withdrawals. As a result, criminal networks increasingly view kidnapping not as a standalone crime, but as a tool, a method to extract money quickly or force compliance. Over the last 5 to 10 years, the biggest increases have been seen in ransom kidnappings, express or opportunistic kidnappings. What are the key drivers? Rising unemployment, growth of organized crime networks, weak conviction rates, a cash-based economy, predictable daily routines. For criminals, kidnapping is often seen as less risky than armed robbery, with a potentially higher financial return. Kidnapping in South Africa takes several distinct forms. These include ransom kidnappings, targeting business owners and professionals; express kidnappings, where victims are forced to withdraw cash; domestic or custodial kidnappings, often linked to family disputes; crime-facilitating kidnappings, used to enable other offenses; and human trafficking-related abductions. While trafficking-related abductions do exist, they represent a small percentage of recorded kidnapping cases. One of the biggest sources of confusion lies in how statistics are recorded. The South African Police Service records all kidnappings under a single crime category. This means child kidnappings, adult ransom cases, domestic disputes, and express kidnappings are all grouped together. As a result, media headlines often imply a child kidnapping crisis, while most recorded cases involve adults and short-term detention linked to financial crimes. Let's examine the national kidnapping trend using the latest quarterly crime statistics. Between July and September 2024, South Africa recorded 4,627 kidnappings. In the same period in 2025, that figure increased to 4,172 cases. That is an additional 145 reported kidnappings, representing a 3.1% year-on-year increase. At first glance, this may not appear dramatic, but context matters. This increase is happening on top of an already elevated baseline. It tells us that kidnapping in South Africa is not stabilizing, but it is also not spiraling uncontrollably. Instead, it reflects a persistent and embedded crime pattern. When translated into time-based reality, the July-September 2025 figures mean around 52 kidnappings every day, just over 2 every hour, or 1 kidnapping approximately every 28 minutes. This is the operational reality behind the numbers, not a spike, but a constant pressure point in the criminal landscape. The nature of this increase tells us something important. Kidnapping in South Africa has become a normalized criminal tool. Criminal groups are not dramatically escalating volume. They are operating consistently, refining tactics, and integrating kidnapping into other crimes such as robbery, extortion, ATM withdrawals, and coercion. This is a hallmark of a mature criminal market. It is also critical to understand that national figures can be misleading. High-volume provinces, particularly Gauteng, significantly distort national trends. Without provincial context, national data can create the wrong impression. Just as importantly, this data does not indicate a sudden surge in child kidnappings, a trafficking explosion, or a breakdown of public order. The majority of recorded kidnappings remain short-term, financially motivated, and involve adult victims. That distinction matters because fear-driven assumptions lead to ineffective responses. The real challenge is not explosive growth, it is persistence. And persistence, more than spikes, is what makes kidnapping difficult to disrupt. Between July and September 2025, the South African Police Service recorded 4,772 kidnappings nationwide. That equates to approximately 52 kidnappings every day, or just over 2 kidnappings every hour. At the center of this trend is Gauteng. During this 3-month period, Gauteng recorded 2,542 kidnappings, accounting for about 53% of all cases nationally. This dominance is not explained by population size alone. It reflects crime structure and opportunity. Gauteng is the country's economic hub. It has a high concentration of targets with perceived financial value and dense road networks that allow for easy interception and escape. Kidnappings here are most often linked to express kidnappings, ransom kidnappings, robberies, and vehicle hijackings. The key point is this: Gauteng is the epicenter of financially motivated and opportunistic kidnappings, not child trafficking. KwaZulu-Natal recorded 903 kidnappings, making it the second highest province by a wide margin. In KwaZulu-Natal, kidnapping is more closely linked to organized crime dynamics. Contributing factors include the Durban port and organized crime logistics, taxi industry conflicts, business extortion, a rural-urban interface with uneven policing coverage. Beyond Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, a group of provinces falls into a mid-tier range, each recording between 200 and 250 kidnappings. These include Western Cape, Mpumalanga, Northwest, Eastern Cape. Despite very different socio-economic profiles, their kidnapping volumes are remarkably similar. This pattern points to opportunistic, crime-facilitating kidnappings, typically short-term and used to enable robbery, extortion, or transport-related crimes, rather than long-term ransom operations. Some provinces record lower absolute numbers, but that does not mean lower risk. Limpopo recorded 186 cases, and the Free State 179. These kidnappings are often linked to border activity and smuggling, labor disputes, road interceptions along major transport corridors. In isolated areas, incidents may be less frequent, but more dangerous due to slower response times. The Northern Cape recorded just 38 kidnappings, less than 1% of the national total. However, its vast geography, low population density, and likely underreporting mean that low numbers do not equal low vulnerability. Three strategic insights emerge clearly from this data. First, kidnapping in South Africa is urban economic, not trafficking driven. Second, Gauteng distorts national perception, driving overall trends. Third, most kidnappings involve adult victims, short-term detention, and are linked to financial crimes. Kidnapping in South Africa has evolved into a criminal tool, not a singular crime. Understanding where it happens and why it happens matters far more than fear-based assumptions. The strong association between kidnapping and children exists for understandable reasons. Child cases generate intense emotional responses, receive heavy media coverage, and are often linked, incorrectly, to trafficking narratives. While child kidnappings do occur, they do not make up the majority of reported cases. That said, prevention remains critical. Parents and schools can reduce risk through controlled access to school premises, verified pickup procedures, no ad hoc release of children, staff training to identify suspicious behavior, clear communication with parents. Parents and teachers should avoid predictable routines, supervise transport arrangements, educate children without creating fear, monitor online interactions, report suspicious behavior early. Children should be taught simple, age-appropriate rules. Never leave with strangers. Always inform a trusted adult. Shout, resist, and attract attention. No safe places and emergency contacts. The data makes one thing clear. Kidnapping in South Africa has evolved. It is no longer a rare or isolated crime. It has become a criminal tool used to enable robbery, extortion, coercion, and financial gain. Most kidnappings today are short-term, financially motivated, and involve adult victims, not children. That reality does not reduce the seriousness of the crime, but it does change how we should respond. Effective prevention depends on accurate understanding, provincial context, and intelligence-driven policing, not panic or misinformation. Security improves when awareness replaces fear. This video is intended for public awareness and educational purposes only. The information presented is based on publicly available crime statistics, open-source reporting, and analytical interpretation. It does not constitute legal advice, professional security advice, or a substitute for guidance from law enforcement or relevant authorities. Crime statistics reflect reported incidents and may be subject to underreporting or reclassification. Viewers are encouraged to consult official sources and local authorities for case-specific advice. If you know of or reasonably suspect that a crime was perpetrated, is imminent, or is being planned, contact your nearest police station, the SAPS Crime Stop number, or your private security service provider.